another edition of Newsmaker. We are sorry for bringing it a little bit behind the schedule. It was due to a particular thing that has to do with logistics. We are very sorry. Yes, today is very, very special in the life of all Nigerians, both who are at home and those who are in diaspora. That is why we are dedicating it to education. Then what makes us to dedicate it to education? Why not politics? Why not sport? Why not economy and some other things like that? Because we notice that education is the bedrock of any society. And when you look at all the nationalists talking about Chief Obafemi Awolowo, talk about Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Sadana of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello, all of them, they were all educated. It was when all of them, when they were equipped seriously with education, that they were able to come out and fight for the independence of the country. Therefore, it is very, very important for us to talk about education when you are talking about independence. As Nigeria is celebrating the 64th anniversary of its independence. And when you are tracing it, you discover that before independence, or before colonialism, there has been education on the land. Therefore, we cannot say that it was the colonialists who brought education into Nigeria. During the time before colonialism, in the north, so let's take it from in the north, there was Quranic education very well. We have thousands of young ones, children are being educated. In the southwest here, we have some area where we teach even on the farm. Our father will tell you, we teach you how many eaves do you make per day. Then when you make it 2 days, then that is education. Then we talk about our culture, everything. That is to say that the colonialists were not the one who brought education to the but conventional education. They did a lot by putting it into black and white. That is why I'm having an education is to the core. Yes, who ended his service as the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education in Osun State. He's a PhD holder. Yes, education to the core. As I told you, education is Dr. Lawrence Oyenira. How are you, sir?
Very fine, thank you, my brother.
We appreciate you.
Happy Independence Day.
Thank you very much. Yeah. As Nigeria is celebrating its 64th year, and let us trace it from the history, from the little that I know that I've said. Then, as a doctor, a lecturer, I want you to enlighten us with the more.
Okay. You mean as regards our independence?
Yes.
We bless God that on this day, on the 1st of October 1960, the Nigerian flag was actually hoisted for everyone to see, saying goodbye to colonial rule in Nigeria. And our leaders then took up the mantle, very bright, instructive, looking forward for everything to look good. And things went on. But you find out that on the eve of independence, our leaders had their differences, but they had to, sink these differences to have the independence. They got it, marked on, like I said, and a little while after independence, things started to go wrong among them. Lack of mutual trust, ethnicity, nepotism, political crisis.
Did we have something like embezzlement?
Corruption was, at influence best. The type that was not noticed when the colonial men were around. We started to hear 10%, inflation on contract and the like. And before you know it, this ethnic politics came in. And, gradually along the line, the whole thing started it showed its face in the western part of Nigeria, when after the 1965 election, there was a problem, the Operation Wet thing. And gradually we moved into 1966 when things were not okay. And we had the 5 majors that truncated the so much loved independence that was laced with Republican status 3 years after in 1963. So with that coup by the 5 majors, headed by Major Kaduna, Chukwuma Nzeegwu, it was an abortive coup, 5 of them. But what happened was that the casualty in government was so much that the civilian rule, democracy could not continue. What do I mean? The person of the Prime Minister, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, was assassinated alongside with the Finance Minister, Okotie-Eboh, at the federal level. At the regional level, Alhaji Amadu Bello, Sardauna of Sokoto, who was then Premier of the Northern region, was assassinated. Our own SLA, Akintola, here in the Western region, was equally assassinated. So because of all these pockets of crisis and assassinations, the number 3 man then, after which, during this period, Zik had to travel out of the country, who was the ceremonial president. The number 3 man then, the person of Senator Okafor Orizu, had to invite the number 3, the head of the military command then, in the person of Major General JTU Aguiyi-Ironsi, that given the circumstance in the country, he could not continue with the rulership of the country, and he handed over to him. That was how, the much expected development of this country was truncated. The person of JTU Aguiyi-Ironsi now had to, through a decree, had to change the Nigerian course from a federal state to a unitary state. And don't forget, Sir Oliver Littington in 1954 gave us that federal posture on which we had the 1959 federal elections. So people were not happy, and the northern army officers felt that the abortive coup was purely against the northern region. And before you know it, there was another counter coup on the 29th of July, 1966, when Major General JTU Aguiyi-Ironsi was in the western region. He came to the western region as a guest of our own Colonel Fajuyi, Adeleke Fajuyi. He came, to the conference of traditional rulers that was held at the Trenchard Hall. The first day on the 28th was successful, but the second day, they were at the government house in Agodi, preparing to go for the second day conference. When they had problems at the government house, all this now, Colonel Adeleke Fajuyi sent his ADC to see what is happening downstairs. In 5 minutes, he could not find him. He had to belt up, move down, and saw that there were some military guys looking for his guests. And he told them, apart from the fact that this man, as a commander, senior to him, was his guest, and nothing should affect him. If they cannot leave him, then they should take him along. That was how he surrendered his life. And later both of them were found assassinated and buried in a shallow grave along Olodo in Ibadan. So you can see the much expected development, politically, economically, socially, that our leaders had in mind when independence came. It became a pawn in the hands of our military boys. And the issue is that even from theory, the best military governments cannot stand by the worst civilian rule. Why? Because in their own case, it is a rule through the barrel of guns. Command. People are not free.
Order from above.
Orders from above. You will recall that Gowon promised to hand over government in 1976. And when he was reading the budget in April 74, he said 1976 was no longer practicable. People were not happy, even within the military. And that was why there was a palace coup when he was away in Kampala, Uganda, at the OAU meeting, Organization of African Unity, now African Union. I think you get it. He could not come back, and Murtala took over the reins of government with our own Olusegun Obasanjo as second in command. But 6 months down the line, on the 3rd of February 1976, this man, Murtala Mohammed, gave us a 19-state structure from the 12th Gowon gave us in 1967 until 27th of May 1967. Okay, and you find out that when this happened, just 10 days later, on the 13th, he was assassinated in an abortive coup that was spearheaded by Bukasuka Dimka, right? And that now brought in Olusegun Obasanjo, who was second in command. He was sworn in on the 14th, and he kept to the agenda of Murtala and handed over governance to Alhaji Shehu Shagari in 1979. But lest I forget, I skipped something. Because of the rumpus in the military, Ojukwu, as he then was a military officer, was not happy with the development. That even where JTU Ironsi was assassinated, it was not the turn of Lieutenant Colonel Gowon to take up. That ordinarily, there was yet a senior military officer in the person of Brigadier Ogundipe, an Abekuta man. But he was not allowed. Instead, he was sent as a military attaché to America. So you can find out that, as it were, with these undercuttings, we could not help the Civil War that started in May 1967. And that went on for 30 months until power was handed over when the Biafran surrendered to our own Olusegun Obasanjo then, who was the commander of the 3rd Marine Commando, and he took them to the Dodam Barracks in Lagos. That was the war. And Gowon said, okay, the 3 R's, rehabilitation, reconstruction, reconciliation, no victor, no vanquish. And we moved on. Obasanjo handed over 1979. Alhaji Shagari was there for 4 years and 3 months. There was another coup. You see, along the line, you will find out that there was this impatience in our military officers. The slightest mistake committed by civilians, they would strike. So that was how, on the eve of the new year, on the 31st of December 1983, they came up again. That was the coup that brought in Major General Buhari. Buhari also was there for 20 months. By 27th of August 1985, IBB came in. And IBB was there for close to 9 years until he stepped aside in 1993 after he annulled the very popular election of MKO Abiola. And we found out that there was a kind of arrangement wherein Chief Shonekan was brought in, and he spent just 82 days. And there was a palace coup again that brought in Abacha. Abacha was there for 5 years. In fact, his original intention then was to transform himself to a civilian president. That was the time he was using the right key, the right cap. But everything belongs to God. He died thereafter, June 1998. And Abdul Salam, general, was sworn in. And he kept faith with the fact that he handed over the reins of government again to the civilians on the 29th of May 1999 when Chief Olusegun Obasanjo was freely elected as executive president. And we bless God that's why we should be happy in spite of the odds. Since 1999 May 29 up to now, there has been an unbroken civilian administration in the country. We bless God. And we pray that we should continue in this way. Whatever may be our mistakes, I believe God that we'll be able to correct them and Nigeria will be great.
Okay, people are saying that kudos to Chief Olusegun
Obasanjo, okay.
That his second coming put a check to impatient overthrow,
yes.
overtake of the government. Then can you tell us some of the strategy that he might have used to succeed?
The first thing he, as a military man himself, he was able to see that, okay, in order to keep the military at bay, to ensure that they keep to their profession, all the political, military officers must be sent packing. And what do I mean? All those that have served as either military administrator or military governor, all those that have served as either minister or something, were immediately flushed out. They were not happy, but it was a thing he had to do. And he now started with reorientation for the military boys. Started with the reorientation, and the thing is paying off now. Look at the bad governance. When people were even saying it directly,
that come and take
government. Kudos to our chief of defense staff, General Musa. He said no, they are sticking to their professional calling. They are not out to seize any power. Instead, theirs is to support
the government,
a civilian government, to achieve success. I mean, this is good. This is good. If America that we are copying could, be celebrating over, 2 centuries of uninterrupted democracy, why should we not? I think you get it. So, at least we should give that to Obasanjo. He has been able to do that.
No, but when we look at what is happening now,
okay,
many things, as you say that kudos to Obasanjo, there are many challenges now. You know that in the north before, they don't always clamor for overthrow of government.
Yeah.
But now they are clamoring. Do you think that Nigeria is on at stake?
You see, they will be clamoring because this will be the Obasanjo regime, and the current regime will be exceptions to the rule for the Northerners when their own men are not directly at the center. And this is the thing. You see, this thing has been with us. Tribalism, nepotism. When your man is not there, you believe that what the other man is doing is not good. That's what is killing the North. And because of this, they are over-bloated, size in the federation. They believe that anywhere... yes. But it should not be so. If the other part of the country could remain calm for the administration of Buhari to spend 8 years, why not our own Tinubu too? I believe after Tinubu's own years, some other people will come from another section. And with that, the country will grow.
But in reality, when you look at what is happening in terms of economy, okay, when you talk about security, it is a little bit manageable.
Yes.
When you compare it to previous, but in terms of economy, it is highly escalating. Can we say that that is part of the justification for their yearning for changing government, particularly military?
I would not agree that they have any justification, because as a law officer myself, I do know that anyone clamoring for an unconstitutional way to change government is committing a criminal act, felony at its best, that should be dealt with. So I won't support them. You see, Nigeria has to go through a process if we will actually develop. So the economic thing, though hard, but like the government and the leaders have been saying, that this thing is going to be for a while. After that, we should keep the flag flying. That after a while, all will be well again. If that is the case, I want to believe that instead of people clamoring for necessary change, let us support this government to do it well.
Okay, let us look at it from this angle.
All right.
The first university in Nigeria is the premier university, which is University of...
Incidentally, that was my first university.
Congratulations. Okay, I want you to look at the traces.
Okay.
We learned that majority of your lecturers then were white, disciplinarian. When you compare universities then and now, can you say that we are fulfilled?
Well, I want to say that definitely the commitment then, when it all started, may not be the same as it is now. But at least, I want to believe that a number of the whites and the members from other nations, there may not be many again, but we have our own kids and kin that are performing there. Where we have inadequacies, the issue is we should encourage the system to help them to keep on. That is it, and not to condemn them, because we cannot expect outsiders to continue to stay with us. If that should be the case, we will not grow.
Okay, I want to talk about the proliferation of universities.
Okay.
Private schools, even public, are getting more larger. Then is it to our merit or to demerit?
I want to say it's to our merit. You know why? The population is huge. And when we stay by JAMB alone, millions of would-be students will be denied, and that will not be the best. So the proliferation is very good. It allows for people who cannot get into public schools to move into private, and they will be able to fulfill their potentials. Fine. But the important thing we should stick to is that they should ensure that standards are maintained. Is very, very important. So that we will not be having, on the part of NUC, to ensure that the university education is not reduced to mushroom schools or glorified secondary schools, one. And two, for the management of each of these universities too, they should be at their feet to ensure that standards are maintained. Where that is done, fine.
Okay, I would also say that if education is too expensive, try
ignorance.
When you look at the cost of sending a child to school nowadays, particularly university, polytechnic, and some other ones like that, it's somehow unbecoming, unbearable for the common man to send. Then can we say that one? Because when you look at why some of these, particularly private schools, are establishing universities for profit motive, which is not bad. Then look at how much they charge now. Is it not that they want to create more gaps between the haves and the have-not? Because if the have-not cannot be able to send their children to university, then automatically they can't be leaders in the future. Then what do you see to that?
Now you see, all over the world, economic situation is changing. To appreciate what is happening in our country, when you take sample of school fees of educational institutions outside Nigeria, within our continent in Africa, Europe, and in America, you will know that this thing is not easy. But all the same, because of our own current situation in Nigeria, I want to plead to our private schools to ensure that they do not allow for the school fees to get unnecessarily rocketed. Is that okay? They should ensure that at least the common man will be able to pay. I do know in one of the schools where I teach, I will not mention it, I do know that the proprietor is so large-hearted that he gives a lot of scholarship to more than 3/4 of the students. That's a very good development. And usually his scholarship is targeted towards the indigent students. If all other proprietors can copy that, oh, my brother, fine. And some are giving maybe half of the money, depending on their status. While the one third I mentioned are usually full. They just come to school.
We don't have more time again. Let's look at the pegging of SSCE for students to 18 years. The minister, you know that the state minister says that what? That it is not what the minister but he has not come out to say that that is what it means. That if a child is not up to 18 years, he should not write SSC. What do you see to that?
Well, I do not subscribe to it. It's a denial. And it is not fair, particularly to the very good young ones. You know, some students at age 15, 16, they are geniuses. And we should not kill the spirit in them. We shouldn't. That policy, I think, for me, the federal government should take a second look at it, because it's not the best. Why do you have to keep them at home until when they are 18? Instead, I would have advocated for a situation whereby those now on the file be allowed to go. Now start the policy anew. Maybe they should look at 2025, 2026. That as from this period, whoever that is not up to this age, 18, should not write. I think you get it. I'm using that as an example. You know, we would have allowed those on the queue now to have, you know, to move with the old policy. So that start a new policy, people will know. But to take a policy at the midst of activities, it's not the best. It's like changing the goal while the match is on. It's not the best. More so that such brilliant students, if you have to keep them at home, doing what? Then a number of vices could set in.
Thank you very much. We may not be able to exhaust
all right,
everything that we have. We want to appreciate you, Dr. Lauren Oyenira, who happens to be the retired Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, the lawyer. And we appreciate you. On behalf of the executive producer, Moturayo Ayegbayo, saying that she thanks you very much on behalf of the Permanent Secretary of OSBC and producer Oluwatoyin Yusuf. We appreciate you. Yours, Adeleke. Till next week, we are going to meet again on the show. Bye for now.